white-green vampires, a deck of his own design for Jack Kiefer on the left. Colem on a 5-card hand for the first game, and on the play starts on Ramanap Ruins. And turn 1, we have a dual land, one of the dual lands here for Jack Kiefer. He does now have Sun Petal Groves in the deck, which could help.
This one, a Scattered Groves.
Yeah. Kerry Zev is going to go ahead and be the play. Jonathan's going to be reading most of these cards, as are we, as Jack starts off with vampires.
I believe this is our Adanto Vanguard.
All right.
This is not a spot where it is good to make it indestructible.
Well, just against red in general, you don't. I mean, it's still fine, right? It's a 2. It's basically a 3/1 for 2. That's a fine rate.
Block your Regavan. Activate my Vanguard.
Yeah, he'll take 3 because see that play takes 5 instead of 3, so it's better to not block.
Yep.
He does play Rishkar though.
Vanguard,
that's one we know.
Much better on offense than defense, as it does get to attack with +2.
And he checked there for shock. He targeted both. Jonathan did not shock. He still has one, but and now we'll see if Jack pays.
Ding!
And he does.
Nailed it.
Goes to 13.
Still never seen a Wily Goblin.
Jonathan goes out to 16 on the attack. And we'll see a Braid on Rishkar. That'll take care of the blocker and an attack for 3 more. Jack down to 10. 6 off that carries Evan, 4 more off his own Vanguard.
Yeah, and that Abrada was bad news for Jack for sure. He wanted to use that to block the Regavan.
Well, he will get another Scattered Grove, and now has, for 3 mana, we're just, for Jonathan, going to go ahead and pick up again.
This isn't even a new card. Yeah. This is Thopter Arrest, right? I don't know.
Thopter Arrest will take care of Kerry Zev, and he'll attack in for 4. That's one we just haven't seen very much of.
No.
So Jonathan down to 12. It's just basically Oblivion Ring.
Yep.
Not
artifact or creature.
A slightly worse one. Or I guess Banishing Light, so we call that now.
Banishing Light could hit Planeswalkers.
Right. And enchantments. This one's a little worse.
Yeah.
A Braid from Jonathan. How many life points does Jack want to pay?
I would not be super into going to 6. It's his only pressure, but Coleman's life total is just too high, I think, to pay the cost here.
How many cards do you want to let Jonathan convert into 4 damage burn spells?
Unless Jack is untapping and gaining just like an unreal amount of life from here.
Yeah, I might let him. Ooh, going to 6. It's still alive.
No fear in the young Jack Kiefer.
Draws another land. Angel of Invention. Okay, that is a good reason to keep your creature alive.
I suppose stuck on 2 lands, Coleman's not going to kill Jack on the following turn, and Jack will start to gain just a stupid amount of life.
It actually fabricates to make servos, but now it's an attack for 5. Jonathan will go to 11.
I suppose you want to split them up. You don't want to just have the Angel abraded down or hit by a lightning strike right away. You can keep up the pressure even in the case of that.
Yeah, actually, we missed 4 points of damage there. So Jonathan, that hit didn't bring him to 11. It brought him to 7. He's going to go ahead and still not his land, and he'll scoop them up as Jack Kiefer takes game 1.
Those numbers are pretty different.
And even at 11, it might still be a scoop there, right? Angel Invention.
Yeah,
so it actually is 11 power still on the board.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I don't know where I was counting from.
5 from the guy.
9, 10.
Servo to 7.
11.
Servo to 9.
11 exactly.
Yeah. Easy enough. Jack Kiefer, white-green vampires, winning the first round. Okay, so when you say green vampires, that's where like, wait, there's supposed to be a white-black tribe. Why do we play green? So what is he getting out of green?
Looks like we have some feral prowlers. That's got to be a green card.
Yeah. Well, so in the main he has Rishkar. What is it? Rishkar, Ovia Pashiri.
Merfolk Branchwalker, not exactly a vampire. That's the 2-mana 2/1 that explores, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. So he's got some 1/1 counter synergy going as well.
That taps for green if you have a Rishkar, so that's neat.
All right, let's go ahead and look at the sideboard then. So Jack, in this matchup, he has 3 Dusk to Dawns, 2 Feral Prowlers, 2 Sorceress Spyglass, 2 Fragmentize, 2 Heroic Intervention, a Gideon's Intervention, a Cast Out, and a Dissenter's Deliverance. Most of these are actually removal spells.
Yep, and a good number of them play here. The Feral Prowler is another efficient creature lower to the ground that blocks here. There's a chance that you want Gideon's Intervention just to hit some of the big things. You can deal with Hazoret with that one. Cast Out for the same reason. Probably too expensive to play Heroic Intervention in a matchup like this. It's got to mostly be for opposing fragmentized decks.
Yeah, I mean, Feral Prowler for this matchup,
yeah.
The 1/3 dies, draws him a card. Great. It's a cat, not a vampire.
Nothing you really want to hit with Sorceress Spyglass here. You can turn off Chandra, Torch of Defiance. That card's only fine against Jack's deck.
Right. In a lot of ways, he's counting on his main deck cards to do a lot of work here. For a white deck, I'm actually was expecting a little more life gain here or something out of the sideboard, but his deck's built in such a way where I believe this may just be a good matchup for him to start.
Yep.
It's very low to the ground. Coleman's sideboard, 3 Glorybringer, 3 Rampaging Ferocidons, 2 Chandra's Defeats, 2 Chandras, 2 PNLRs, a Vance's Blasting Cannon, a Sweltering Suns, and an Aether Sphere Harvester. Ferocidon, that's something we haven't seen much of yet.
Yep, really into that one. 3 mana, 3/3 Menace. Players can't gain life. When a creature enters the battlefield, that creature's controller takes a damage.
Yeah, that one's symmetric, but that's just fine on Jonathan's side.
Well, it's asymmetric in that Jonathan wasn't going to gain any life.
Sure.
The damage ability is symmetrical.
Good. So I do really like that.
It's a fine spot for Glorybringer. Jack's deck possibly a little too efficient for that one to be leveraged properly. In a lot of these creature matchups, Aether Sphere Harvester is fine.
Yeah, I'd expect that to be true here as well. Jack's deck's not actually, doesn't make a 5/5 very easily. He doesn't push power through one.
Yep.
Well, they're going to sideboard up for the second game. We're going to talk a bit about Star City Games Game Night. This is exclusive pins and tokens from our creature collection that are given away at stores all around the country. So just your weekly tournament can be a Star City Games Game Night. Your store can sign up for that. So the pins we are giving away starting next week, October's going to roll around. We're giving away the Vampire Night Fox. We're talking about that one, also part of the creature collection, our 2/2 flying, well, vampire creature here. That's given away in October. In November, you can go ahead and win as a prize the Tarmogoat, the 0/1 goat that also is a Tarmogoyf. And then we just got to show this one earlier for December. The December promo is going to be the Akrokan Crusaders, right out of Theros. It took him a while, but he hopped his way to the battlefield here and to game night.
I got a little hung up on the Akrokan Crusader last time. I do want to say that I really admire the elegance of the Tarmogoat because there are 0/1 goat tokens.
And there's a 0/1
Tarmogoyf is arguably the greatest creature of all time, and it starts as a 0/1.
When there's a rest in peace in play, would you call is it fair to refer to your Tarmogoyf as a Tarmogoat?
I sure hope my Tarmogoyfs are in my sideboard if my opponent is casting rest in pieces.
Yeah, but then it's definitely a Tarmogoat. When it's a 1/2, you can call it a Tarmo Squire.
We boarded that one out against Miracles.
It's been a while since Miracles cast Rest in Peace, right? There used to be the Helm of Awakening or Helm of Obedience combo, not Awakening.
That was a thing, you know.
Sometimes you got that. For the second game in a row, Jonathan's going to go to 6. For Jack Kiefer, the middle of the Kiefers, from Boulder, Colorado, 16 years old, still looking for his first Open top 8. Has played in the Pro Tour, though. Qualified. And on a robotics team, the Rocky Mountain Pirates. They have won the World Championships twice. I like the name. It's good. All right, Jonathan keeping on 6, and we are underway. No 1-drop on his side.
Checkmark card with a lot of Sharpie on it. Here comes Legion's Landing.
Legion's Landing. So this is the legendary 1-mana enchantment. It basically is a 1/1 lifelink vampire for 1. When it enters the battlefield, you get a 1/1 vampire. However, when it attacks with 3 or more creatures, it transforms into a land. And we'll talk about that one when it happens. Earthshaker Kenra is the swing from Jonathan. It'll hit for 2. I do like the idea that you have a 1/1 lifelink card, though, against red. That is a scary thing to start on.
There's actually a lot to like about Legion's Landing. In this matchup, you get this lifelinking creature. Against control decks, the actual transformation is very significant.
Sure. if you can get, I mean, its downside is that it's legendary, but that's fine. Adanto Vanguard, the next play from Jack. 2 creatures, 1 more, and we might see this transform. I guess there's also not really a downside. With most of these legendary enchantments, you wouldn't want to play a second one. But if Jack had a second Legion's Landing, you could just cast it. There's not really, you're not losing anything.
Jack got pretty feisty there. Made a block with the
Ooh, and he
Vanguard
blocked and made
and
it indestructible. I don't think Jonathan was expecting that, as it just worked.
Here's a nice follow-up, though. Ferocidon comes down, and now Jack won't be able to gain life. Legion's Landing looks a lot worse from here.
Yeah, getting Jack to pay 4 life for the block and then says no more life gain off your 1/1. That is strong.
And Jack doesn't have much that gets the Ferocidon off the table.
Right.
You know, he has the Stop to Rest in his deck, but then it still just hangs out and has the static abilities.
Vanguard will attack for 3, no blocks from Jonathan, and Jack just plays a tap land and passes. No other creatures here available. Swing from the Ferocidon puts Jack to 12. And Jonathan will follow up with another one. So these Ferocidons in the sideboard looking pretty nice in this game too.
Yeah, it's really hard to get back on the battlefield and recover because now you just take 2 damage per creature entering the battlefield.
Jonathan taking a damage off that one. Remember, the Ferocidons trigger off anyone playing a creature. So right now, every creature that is played, its controller will take 2 damage. And that's really going to change how this game works out.
Mm-hmm.
You see Rishkar from Jack. And I do want to point out with 2 Ferocidons in play that Jack can't remove. Legion's Landing becomes pretty interesting. If he were to flip it, it would become Adanto the First Fort. I don't want anything to do with that ability when there's 2 Ferocidons in play.
Nope. Especially because the Ferocidons just have Menace.
Yeah.
So it's like you're not even gaining a life by making one. You,
No,
take 2 and you can't block one of them.
Well, and you can't gain life because you can't gain life.
Yep.
So you're just taking 2 to make a 1/1 that doesn't do much. It's not a good card in the face of the Ferocidon. Adanto Vanguard, though, will swing in for 4 more. And now Feral Prowler for Jack. He continues to take damage in the face of these dinosaurs. He dealt 4, it looks like, on the attack. So Jonathan going down to 11. We'll confirm that. A Braid takes care of Rishkar. A swing with the 2 Menace creatures. There are no blockers. And then he'll shock for the last 2 points. Coleman takes game 2. And how good did Ferocidon look in that game? That was, whew.
Yeah. If your opponent is just a low-to-the-ground creature-centric deck,
Yeah.
especially one that is giving up some amount of power and toughness for lifelink specifically, you know, Ferocidon really shines in a matchup like this.
And that's really impressive stuff there for Jonathan Coleman. So Jack's going to look back at the sideboard here for the 3rd game. Does he start to care, I guess, about Cast Out, Dusk to Dawn? These are cards that answer Ferocidon.
There's a good chance he was already into Cast Out, but yeah, you might start looking at Dusk to Dawn. The issue is there's only a small number of creatures it hits.
Right.
It's a sorcery speed, so against some of the creatures, for example, on Crop Crasher, you already got hit before they answer it. And
Right.
you kind of want to make sure that you get that answered straight away. And the Dawn side, just not particularly relevant in a matchup like this.
Right, it's this conditional kill spell. 2 Ferocidons is very hard for him to beat. He might go towards some number of them, but it's really interesting. I suppose you could just, if you mentioned Gideon's Intervention, is possible to be in the deck.
Mm-hmm.
That
Tough
would be
to-
a medium answer.
Yeah,
against
tough
the
to get
Ferocidon.
that one out ahead against the first one, but
Yeah. So they're going to get ready for their game. Jack will be back on the play. Now, if you have missed some of the action earlier in the day and you want to see more of these Ixalan cards showcased in Standard, we had a lot of different takes on the new set in some of our early rounds. All the rounds here from this weekend's event you can find on the StarCityGames.com YouTube page. And it's at youtube.com/StarCityGames. And you find the best of the SCG Tour and full full videos of the events. You can also find some of our content that you get on the website, our Split Second, our Versus series, our Commander Versus, and some of our top authors doing Magic online play testing. Those usually upload sometime in the week following the event, but you'll be able to find everything there at youtube.com/StarCityGames.
Tons of free content. Excellent channel, really.
Jonathan has yet to, he's been on mulligans, at least one mulligan for both of the first 2 games.
The red deck does a reasonable job of mulliganing. Obviously, it's one of those decks where a lot of your wins are cobbled together with Shock and Lightning Strike. Some of your cards can buy you out of that. For example, Earthshaker Kenra in a lot of games kind of counts as 2 cards if you're really able to eternalize it. Bomat Courier, really the big one. That one can convert into a lot of extra cards.
And it felt like in that game, Jack's still finding his footing in this matchup. You look at all the damage that was dealt there. So Jack took 8 damage of his own doing, I believe, that game. He paid 4 for the Adanto's Vanguard and then played 2 creatures into double Ferocidon on the turn before he died.
Yeah, I mean, casting the creatures, that's just something that he had to do. He's really not configured to deal with the Ferocidon, and it's tough to be as a white-green deck. But yeah, that activation on the Vanguard earlier was pretty aggressive.
Yeah, the activation's aggressive. I mean, it killed the Kenra. And then maybe at some point he has to hold back a 3/1 as a blocker, something like that. Be interested to see, you know, he took the aggro posture that game, and I'm not sure how well it served him.
Yep.
You see turn 1, Legion's Landing for Jack Kiefer.
Coming off of a desert this time, though, so it's going to take 1 life, the Sheffet Dunes damaging him.
Yeah, my bigger concern there is that if that's his turn 1 play, to play Sheffet Dunes, how many lands are actually in this opener?
Looks like he has a forest, so, you know.
Okay.
Can cast some green spells, but his deck is primarily white.
Yeah, he'll go back up to 20 from the Lifelink Vampire. Forest. And that's our Merfolk Branchwalker, I believe. It will explore. Put Adanto's Vanguard in the graveyard and become a 3/2. But that'll be a hit by Shock from Coleman. I was a little surprised that Shock's in Jonathan's hand. I thought he might Shock a 1/1 lifelink, but now this explains it. He has Carry Zev in his hand, thinking he can just block instead.
Yep. Yeah, not terribly worried about the 1/1.
There's a white source that doesn't cause damage. Jack will draws a Plains for the turn. And 2 more cards. He's got Adanto Vanguard, it looks like there.
And Duskborn Sky Marcher.
And his deck is you're right, it is very low to the ground.
Yep.
This is the 1/1 flying for white and tap. Target attacking vampire gets +1/+1 until end of turn. Not the most appealing of abilities. I think it's mostly just a 1/1 flyer for 1.
Yep. Just a 1-mana creature that makes it easier to flip Legion's Landing.
Yeah. Flying steps of Suntail Hawk, Lantern Kami.
Yeah.
All seem played and constructed, actually.
And Jack's deck is very much a token deck. He doesn't really have much in the way of payoffs. Yeah, honestly, the Sheffet Dunes and the Legion's Landing over time are really the big things he's looking at.
Earthshaker Kenra from Coleman. No blocks for Adanto's Vanguard. Yeah, and I am interested. Both players, I think, trying to figure out who the aggro is in this matchup. You know, who's going to win the race? Let's see. Jonathan right now thinks it might be him, so he'll swing for 5. We'll see whether Jack could start to trying to trade here, or he could just attack back and flip his own Legion's Landing. And looks like he'll have the Lifelink Vampire trade with the Kenra. He takes, well, 3 and gains 1. He goes to 18.
Part of the equation is the question of when Jack will actually start activating the first fort.
Right.
He only has 3 lands otherwise currently. That's the entire investment for activating Adanto. So if he just has some other spells he wants to cast next turn, just getting that Kenra off the battlefield, that makes sense. He also just attacks for 4 on the crackback. That's a reasonable spot. Yeah,
trading his Lifelink 1-drop for Jonathan's 2-drop is such a good exchange. He's not sure he'll get a chance to do it again, so he takes it, even though it does delay the transform on the land. Confirming here. And
ooh,
okay.
As our legendary
we have Mavrin Fane, Dusk Apostle. I mentioned our legendary vampire here. Here's one of the payoffs for the deck.
And when you attack with a non-token vampire, you get to make a 1/1 lifelink vampire token, though that's
that
not
would
going
have
to
been
happen.
so nice. Not going to happen. Shock takes care of it. So the attack will just be for 4 on the way back from Jack.
I think Jack's other last card is Rishkar, so we have the option to try to go for the vampire that turn or go for the Rishkar. Just try to go for the damage there.
Both the creatures in play for Jack are vampires, so would have triggers there. Looks like we see, I believe, a Hazoret, and then we get an attack for 3 from Jonathan.
Coleman, unfortunately, 2 cards in hand.
Okay, I was going to say, yeah, didn't attack that turn, but it is the Invocation Hazoret. Rishkar, last card in hand for Jack. Will put counters on both his creatures. Swings in for 6. Jonathan down to 9. No cards in hand for Jack. He needs to survive. I was going to say, he needs to have 3 creatures to flip that Legion's Landing. I don't think Jonathan's going to let him have it, especially not with that draw.
Yeah, it looked like a Glorybringer.
Yeah, and he has
looks like
the
there's
land.
a mountain.
So he has 3 cards in hand, a land, a Glorybringer, so he can kill a creature, Hazoret can attack. This is a nightmare.
With this much power, too, the Adanto just doesn't do enough.
4 p.m. Legacy
Yeah.
and 4 p.m. Modern Challenge players.
It is land Glorybringer. I like Jonathan's situation here.
Make your way to your seats again.
And yeah, interestingly, Jack had this turn 1 Legion's Landing, which I think should be very good in this matchup. Jonathan actually had enough removal where he's kept Jack off it all game. And yeah, here's Glorybringer, down to 1 card in hand is Jonathan. A full swing, an Exert, makes Ragavan, kills Rishkar, and this is just gonna do some real good work. Rishkar's down, there are no blocks. This is a swing for 12. Jack's gonna go to 1.
And Jack has some ways to add 2 damage to his next turn. You know, the Shepherd Dune's on the battlefield, but he can't fully add 3.
Yeah, he has 6 power. Yeah, there's no way to add 3 here.
He doesn't really have a combination of things with the mana available either.
Can he life gain out from under the Hazoret, maybe?
Nothing he controls currently has lifelink, and he can't gift lifelink.
Yeah, I suppose Angel Invention would only be +2. Shepherd Dunes is only +2. Should play Sunscorched Desert. I don't know, that would teach him. I don't see one yet. Maybe Jack will find one. And the issue is that also a lifelink blocker doesn't work. Ramanap Ruins can deal the last points of damage, as can Hazoret. Well, Jack's going to put Jonathan to 1. That's not good enough. Jonathan Coleman wins game 3 here. He, with Ramanap Red, improves to 6-2, and what he hopes is going to be a spot in day 2.
Yep. Interesting take on the format from Jack Kiefer.
Yeah, really interesting there. I agree.